Dick.
I got Julie here this time because she wanted to do a thing.
This is hilarious because wasn't expecting a stream. I was like just finishing work, going, "Hey, what if we did this?" And I was like, "Cool. What are we doing? What are you doing? Like 20 minutes? Like, I mean, I just got to stop by the grocery store, but okay. Like, it's fucking."
Yep, so we're doing a thing. You wanted to do a scene with Brook, so I don't really even know
Yeah.
what we're doing. But we did that other stream with Ashley earlier, and it was very good, and I'm very hyped about this game now, and we're not actually playing this week, so it doesn't take much work to convince me to do a solo sesh right now.
Well, basically, I just had in my head this idea because I was talking to Molly earlier that at this point there needs to be like one of the goddesses that Brooke can turn to.
Uh-huh.
Because at this point, like, everyone's had to talk to a goddess almost.
Right, and it's almost, I almost feel a little bad because it feels like I'm cheating in a world building sense that like these are goddesses of like the entire world and they just keep hanging out with you losers.
Well, we did kind of get embroiled with, their like shitty sister.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of where I'm okay with it, is that it's, yeah, because you guys are so involved with lies, it would make sense that they would take an interest in you.
Plus, also, like, it's a fantasy setting.
Sure, right, yeah.
Whatevs.
Yeah. I think at least some of them can probably be in more place than at once.
Right, definitely.
Because
especially, like, I'm guessing, like, the upper tier, goddesses can.
Yeah. Especially especially with Death, because she is dead. I assume like her ghost can simultaneously appear and comfort every dead person at once.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Chelsea's in the chat. Hey, Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
But yeah, so I racked my head and I thought. Originally, I was thinking like maybe like this is a couple weeks ago. I was thinking maybe there could be something with the magic, and not anymore.
Right? Yeah, magic kinda. That was.
Magic.
Magic feels very bad, bro. I just called you Brook.
Yeah.
She feels very bad about what she did.
Right.
Because she has the temperament of a child.
Yeah. That ain't good. that is a Madoka situation.
Right, yeah, a little bit.
that is the scene from Recreators when
yeah, 100%, yes.
Magical Slayer Mamika realizes, oh, there's not usually blood.
I mean, I did watch the first 2 episodes of that show because you were raving about it.
What'd you think?
I'm gonna watch a little more because you were so big on it. It's not doing it for me yet.
No, that's fair. Even if you don't like it, that's okay. Your own opinion.
I want to give it a fair shot just because you were so big on it. But yeah,
I'm mostly big on it just for for a lot of personal reasons.
Sure, that's fair.
But right, yeah. But yeah. So I was thinking with Brooke, what would fit her best would actually be language.
Okay.
Part of that is A, she's a writer. B, I can imagine like. I described her now like messages like a lapsed worshipper, like even more so than like Jet. Basically, I pictured it as like when she first arrived at Willow Wake and like actually started consuming more stories from them.
Yeah.
Like Summer she got like involved with that and sought out like a language-based temple. Or like some place of worship in Willow Wake, and then kind of just like let that slide as she went back to Nethria, and just hasn't really like
it's sort of
like worshipped in a while.
It's not the same thing because they do have like language worship in Nethria, but it would almost be like you took a trip abroad to India and you got really into Buddhism while you were there.
Right? Yeah. Because again. Listen, I love Brooke, but
she's the shittiest. Like, yeah, it's very much. I'm gonna break my rule because this is just a cash stream, so fuck it. About referencing other podcasts, but Lauren Lapkus on Comedy Bang Bang and probably other places has a character she does where it's like a 20-year-old girl who has been studying abroad in Italy for the past month, and she really.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, she's just. the people are just so much like more interesting there, and really like I'm Italian actually. Like I was born in California, but I mean I'm Italian at this point, frankly.
Yeah. Brook is like just a shade lower than that.
Yeah, yeah, she's not full on. I mean, she's not a parody. You know,
I always describe it more as just like Brook is that sort of person, that sort of white person who went to Japan and just became full on weeb.
Yeah.
That's just
right.
her. Like,
and considering what Willow Wake is like, that seems extremely like accurate.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I imagine also like it fits with Brook as well. I want a language, especially because it's not just about her writing, but also like she doesn't really know what to say a lot of the time. She's really bad with her words and really bad with expressing herself. And I felt like language is the best goddess to represent that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I am sort of imagining that you guys had this little mishap in Willow Wake and probably stayed the night and then are going back home the next day. So I'm kind of thinking that like once you have kind of paid your respects to Other Jet, or I guess that's your jet. It's not an Other Jet for you.
Yeah,
the living jet is the
Brook's
Other jet.
Like, yeah. That's the weird fucking thing.
Which they're not. They're only separated by a half hour of time, so it's not like this is some weird parallel universe.
But it's
jet.
still a weird thing. Of
it's
like,
still kind of weird, yeah. Like there's not a continuity of personhood for Jet anymore.
Right.
Except there is for her, just not for any of you.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I can imagine like after the like little funeral service and when Jet had her moment, like Brook was just trying to find somewhere because I've mostly it's more like been internally for her because I even mentioned it in the last stream that I'm in character in Brook. Like she's kind of lost the least out of everyone here, but
sure.
It's still affecting her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the point where, and we also saw like with her talking to her parents, she's kind of been just brushing off everything, and I think now it's kind of come to a head where she can't ignore this shit anymore.
Okay.
And I think she needs a bit of guidance.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I think once you have sort of paid your respects to Dead Jet, and I sort of described it as everybody kind of giving Jet a moment alone.
Yeah.
So I think probably you, instead of say like going to whatever lodging you guys have found for the night, sort of went deeper into the forest and found this, temple's doesn't feel like the right word, but I'm having a hard time because I'm imagining Willow Wake mostly being a very open air place.
So I'm guessing shrine would work better, like
I'm imagining sort of almost like a meadow or a small clearing where
oh sure, yeah,
like there is maybe some stone structures and benches, and it's like an open air temple, you know?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
it's like if you almost like if you had a like traditional church or temple and just sort of picked up the walls and ceiling and just left the floor and the stuff on the floor.
So basically, it's slightly more like updated Stonehenge in a way.
In a way, yeah. And I think in a lot of ways it almost looks like ruins, even though it's not, just because the people here aren't going to be concerned about like the stone becoming overgrown and that kind of thing, because that's not like litter or anything like that for them, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it probably, if a city goer, probably Brook when she first saw it, would probably look at this and say this is like the ruins of an old temple. And no, this is just a difference in culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I like I said, I'm probably imagining sort of stone benches, sort of like pews, and then probably a small step up with like a pulpit and then a statue of the goddess behind it.
Cool. All right. I could imagine Brooke sitting like on one of the benches near that.
Okay.
Like, I think she didn't necessarily come here directly looking for guidance, more just she really needed a moment to herself as well. And this is at least one place she knows where she can find some peace. Even though it's been a while since she's actually like gone to church.
Yeah, and I imagine she probably came here to find some peace and quiet, and other times too, like when she used to live here.
Right.
And I imagine this is maybe obviously they have this temple and everything, but this is probably not an especially popular goddess in Willowake. I'm imagining that like magic is probably their main goddess actually.
Right.
Just because everyone that lives here is very magical. And I talked about, this bit of, I'm going to use this as an excuse to mention some world building shit.
Yeah, go for it.
Just
I love it.
There's no real other times for it to come up. I've talked about with you guys, and at some point I want to do a stream where I'm just laying out some of like the world building and backstory mythology of this world, just because, I don't know, I put a lot of time into thinking about it, and I want to share it with people.
Yeah.
But I've talked to you guys about how the way magic works in this world is the head of this pantheon is Truth, and she is literally like observing the world all the time. And I think of it kind of like a very loose kind of pop science way of thinking about quantum physics, where things resolve into reality because they are observed that way. And that's what Truth does. She's an observer that resolves things into a concrete, objective reality. And that's why, for instance, like when you guys were in the labyrinth, things are screwy and weird and non-Euclidean because that's a weird pocket dimension that Truth can't observe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and like that's why all the obstacles in there are based on you guys' mindset, because you're the observers now. So the way magic works is that she helps people to sort of temporarily obscure themselves from her mom's line of sight, basically, so that they can do what would otherwise be impossible things.
I've honestly really liked that description of magic you've given.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So I think that, in particular, she is sort of a patron goddess of this forest. I mentioned when you guys got here that it was so... The tree cover, like the tree canopy was so thick that you literally, like, the sun cannot be seen from in here. And I think she, like, probably established this forest as a place that the sun can't penetrate, so that it's a very magically attuned place.
Sure.
So because of that, I think she is sort of the main goddess that the people here worship, even though they definitely honor the other ones also.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
they worship Hatsune Miku.
Right. Which I did not mention it because I didn't want to kill the mood. I have a feeling Song is... She's not going to make a big deal out of it, but boy, she wishes she had less silly hair for such a serious moment.
Yeah, she was just like, come on, my God.
Yeah, it's...
Willow, fuck. Give me the Domino's box.
Right, like, not unlike, like, say, Health, she probably doesn't mind, like, the Greek goddess, like, toga and sandals look. That probably fits her very well. But the, like, weird anime dress and thigh highs with the giant ponytails is just... guys, I'm trying to comfort someone in mourning, and I've got freaking absolute territory going on. Which actually probably brings us to the first thing here. What would language look like in the Willowake interpretation?
That's a really good question. I was racking my head about this on the train.
Because I would imagine language is probably... Because, it's... The goddesses are all sort of very archetypical looking people based on what they're... They kind of look like someone that is in a profession that would be relevant to their, like, jurisdiction. I imagine she would be kind of a librarian sort of looking person.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, I immediately like, oh, she's a fan translator editor, but I thought, how do you actually like visualize that?
Right, yeah, I have no idea how you would do that.
But yeah, like a librarian sort of like scholarly type works, I think.
Yeah. I'm just gonna Google anime librarian and let's see if we can find a good touchstone.
Luke, be careful. Please be careful.
Your first mistake was thinking I needed to be. Let's see. So are we thinking sort of like, and I'll put this in the chat also, sort of like this random anime woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
Kinda
yeah.
Long black hair, glasses, sort of just a like cardigan,
Right.
like full length skirt.
Hold on. I'm just suddenly remembered something. I want to check if this is suitable.
I was gonna say the only anime librarian I can think of is the lady from Read or Die, and I've.
Damn it! You read my mind.
If I remember right, that show had very like sexualized.
Her costume
art.
isn't sexualized; it's more her proportions are.
Yeah, like she has like a trench coat and then like a vest,
like a vest and like knee-length skirt and everything.
Right, but it's like, oh, that vest is very tight
she has,
for
like,
her
triple
chest,
E's.
and boy, yeah, like those boobs are like sticking out of the trench coat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe if we take away, like, bring it down, like, 5 cup sizes from anime to like regular, it could work.
Yeah, get her like down to a D cup.
I hate this. I love it, but I hate it.
Oh yeah, we're describing a goddess's cup size right now. Welcome to Pizza Party, everybody.
Welcome to Pizza Buddy. Welcome to Pizza Buddy. But yeah, like that general look, I think works. Like, studious glasses, has a like coat or like cardigan, knee-length skirt.
Yeah, and I will say, I think this statue has a book in one hand and actually kind of like a tote bag over her shoulder.
Okay.
And she's probably doing that thing anime girls do that, like, where like they like strike a pose while adjusting the strap. You know what I mean?
Yes, the thing I literally do every day. Shut up. Go fuck yourself.
Where it's like they're like twirling away from the camera as they hike the strap on their bag up. And then like they're running into the sunset.
It's days like this I'm glad like Monty can't talk, my dog, because the things he would tell people that I do.
Great. Good.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad at everyone, including myself.
Yep. No. Sounds good. So now that we've established all of that, let's get to the actual like substance here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what's Brook doing?
Yeah, so I think she's sitting at one of the benches near the statue. I think for the most part she's just being very silent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, it kind of fits with Brook at the moment. I think she's just at a loss for words. I'm trying to think.
Let me ask you this: is there any kind of ritual of like penance, I guess, that you would do, like the equivalent of like crossing your chest in a Catholic church, or is there some kind of offering you make? Anything along those lines?
I can imagine like almost writing your name on something and putting it in like a bowl somewhere.
Okay.
And for Brook, I've always drawn her with like a rucksack or like a messenger bag all the time, so I imagine she's got that on her.
Yeah, just sort of like a little like moleskin or something.
Yeah, just like, especially for her, like she just rips out a little piece, just writes her name and puts it in the bowl and just sits down. And I think at this point, I think she would also almost, because I never bring it up because it's never had a reason to be brought up, but she writes a diary about every single like session, essentially, every single delivery, every single day.
Okay.
And I imagine it's time for her to make a diary entry for what's happened today so far.
Okay.
And just pulling that diary out and like pen to, I guess it'd be like pencils can exist in this world, I suppose.
Me making a judgment call on whether that makes sense would require me to know how pencils are manufactured, so
Right.
I'm just gonna say sure.
Yeah, okay, sure. Because I'm not imagining her bringing like an inkwell with like quill with her every single.
I mean, at bare minimum, like a charcoal thing would be easy to.
Yeah,
have.
I think like a thin stick of charcoal that's able to like write precisely.
And then there's like again, I'm just trying to like retroactively figure out how this would work. Like, because I'm assuming this is about how pencils got made in the first place. Charcoal's real brittle, so probably some kind of containing thing around it, just so it doesn't snap in your fingers while you're trying to write with it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine her. She puts charcoal to paper and is just about to write the first dot point of the day, and she looks over at the page before, where she just simply written, like, just before they left Nethria. Like that was the last entry she made.
Yeah.
And it was just excited to go back to Willowake. Can't wait to show Jet everything.
Oh, jeez.
And just like tries to shake her head, ignore that, go back to the page, charcoal to paper, and that thing when you are so like there's so much on your mind, you just basically press the pencil so hard to the page it just breaks.
Sure. Yeah.
And at that point, her just throwing the damn book like across the field, like just she's done. She hates this.
Okay.
Like one of her few like little things she could do and feel like comforted in, a daily ritual she just can't do right now because of everything that's happened.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I'm trying to like justify why all these dang goddesses keep showing up because I know that's kind of what you were looking for here. I think while you are sitting there in silence, something which is becoming increasingly like common for y'all to see is this statue starts to animate. And, its skin changes from,
like stone to skin.
Stone to skin, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And she's kind of humming a tune, and is starting to walk towards a pew, and she kind of, like, jumps when she sees you and, like, drops all of her shit. She's like, oh, goodness, I didn't realize someone was here. There's usually no one in here around this time. Hello.
Hello. Don't worry, I'm still no one.
Sorry, she just kind of like is, bending down to pick her shit up. And she just kind of moves over and sits on sort of the pew sort of across the aisle from you. And she's like, you don't mind if I sit here with you? I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
It'd be odd if I had a problem with you sitting there.
Oh, you were here first.
It is your place, for lack of better words.
I guess. I guess so. Okay, as long as you don't mind. And she just sits down on the bench and sort of sets her book off to the side and fishes through her tote bag and gets out some knitting needles and some yarn, and she's just kind of quietly knitting to herself.
What are you making?
I think she kind of doesn't answer at first. She's like, oh, what? Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, sorry. I said, what are you making?
Oh, I don't really know yet. I just kind of like to come here and do this while, sometimes it's just great atmosphere here and just kind of clear my head. This is probably just going to end up being nothing, but that's okay.
Oh, sure. I know a couple hobbies like that, sure.
Well, what kind of hobbies do you have?
Oh, I write every now and then. I try to write every day, I should say.
Oh, well, that's good. That's great.
I imagine you'd be happy to hear that.
What kind of things do you write?
I usually write a diary entry every day. A lot of it's meaningless, but it's important to me, and I sometimes try and turn those into stories or whatever pops in my head.
That's nice. Do you ever show anything you write to other people?
Oh no, well, no, not since school. No, not anymore.
Uh, well, you should. I mean, that's. Listen, well, okay. You're here for. I'm not gonna sit here and give you a sermon.
Well, you'd be the most fitting person to give me a sermon, I guess.
Yeah, but you didn't come here asking for that. You just came to clear your head, like I am.
Honestly, I don't know why I came here. I guess. Why don't I ever say the right thing?
What do you mean?
I'm just. I'm really awful to some people, especially one person. And I, at this point, don't know why that is anymore. And I have worked on that, and I try to say nicer things, but they always come out wrong. This person even thanked me yesterday, and I blanked. Who blanks when someone tells you thank you?
She kind of looks down at the small piece of like knitted fabric she's got. She's sort of just started on this thing.
Yeah.
And she says, I think I'm going to make a scarf.
Scarves are nice.
Do you want to help?
What can I do?
Well, here. And she kind of picks her things up and moves to sit next to you. And I'm going to... Hey, Julie?
Yeah?
I don't know any fucking thing about knitting.
I imagine Brook is mostly just holding out the scarf.
I'm just saying, I'm probably gonna describe some things here that probably are not accurate to how real knitting works.
I'm just gonna check you are clear, because Chelsea, who actually knits, is not here, so...
Okay, whew! Chelsea, if you're watching this later, I'm sorry. Feel free to yell at me. Because I definitely don't know how you knit, but listen.
Chelsea, you have my permission to give Luke a knitting lesson later. Anyway.
She pulls out a... I'm trying to think... Now I'm questioning the logic of how this works. I'm trying to think if there's a way... Because what I want to say is she pulls out a separate set of knitting needles and tells you to work down one side while she works up the other. But I don't think that would work.
Look, that is like cartoon knitting. That's not...
Well, that's what I'm saying, Julie.
No, it would more be Brook mostly just holding the fabric for her as it knits out, which makes it easier so it doesn't get tangled, and she can check for I think it's when you just miss a stitch and stuff.
We dropped down to only 2 viewers, which I assume is just me and you, so I assume everyone just got so fed up with my bad knitting explanation.
God, Luke.
Alright, yeah, we'll just say that. That's probably...
Yeah,
more accurate to how knitting works. I mean, I could just pull, Goddess Fiat here and say, no, it works however she says it works. She's a goddess. That's like arguing, no, you can't feed, 5,000 people with a fish? Come on, you can't feed that many people. That's not how fish work, Jesus.
Listen, it's your game, Luke.
Right. No. Yeah, she, just says, well, here, just hold on to this, and, let me, I'll just keep working on it here, and can you hold it straight for me?
Sure, I guess, sure.
Great, thanks. Well, I don't know, why you're having a hard time with your friends. That sounds hard. Um, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think that do you not know what to say, or do you not know how to make yourself say it?
Sometimes both, I think.
Well, I would say that not to uh, what's I'm trying to think of the word she would use. Not to like not to lecture, but it's language is a skill like any other, and you have to practice at it, and that means messing up sometimes.
I guess I'm really out of practice.
Yeah. She will never ever admit this, but my sister Fashion, I'm the one that taught her how to sew and how to knit, and she was awful at it at first.
Well, your secret's safe with me. I guess I. You're right. I'm just. Mistakes should be made because you learn from those and you get better as time goes on. But I get scared of making mistakes, and I get scared of just expressing myself for a lot of reasons. And I guess I don't know how to talk to the people I actually care about.
Well, if I can offer an opinion, I don't really think there's such a thing as mistakes. I think there's just progress. And sometimes if you're trying to find your way somewhere, that means hitting a dead end and having to double back. But that's still an important part of getting to your destination.
Yeah, I just I I feel like I've made no progress, and even when I thought I was trying, I this may sound weird. I was in a ladybug a few weeks ago, and
That does sound weird.
it it was very weird. Not maybe the second weirdest thing that day, but when I was in that thing, I was shown a scenario of what would happen if I just kept being the way I am, not doing anything, being scared to make progress, I guess. And I made a big old speech at the end that I was going to be better. I was going to be proactive. And I believed myself. Someone else believed that. And the last thing I got to say to that person was to run away, and even that didn't get through.
Sorry, I'm trying to. Who are we talking about?
Yeah,
Just so I know.
about Jet, because like there was a whole point where after Brook made the whole speech in Ladybug, Jet said that was really cool of Brook.
Oh right, yeah, okay, yeah.
And then like the last thing Brook actually said to like dead Jet before she died was just run away from lies, like.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, while she was crumpled over and her fucking like water magic doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. She kind of laughs a little, and she says, "You're so serious. Listen, I don't know what kind of problems you've been having, but you're not a monster. I'd know more about you if you were. Trust me. It can't be that bad."
I don't know anymore. I tell myself that as well, and then I try and be nice to my other friends. They're my friends. I don't think I'm theirs. And one or two give me the time of day, and I always appreciate that. The others, no. And I get that. And I always feel like it's my fault.
Well, if you're having a hard time finding the right thing to say to them, have you tried writing it down?
No, I never thought about that.
I'm trying to think. She says, you know, language is kind of a tricky thing that a lot of people don't quite grasp what I wanted to give them when I made it for them. People think that it's just a way to make themselves heard and sort of express themselves, and it can do all of those things, and that's great, but that's really more of what song does. What makes language special is that it creates threads between people, and when they work together and use their language with one another, they can shit, I can't think of the word. What's it? Oh god. Oh god, I lost the word. We're right in the middle of a sentence. Like a word for like not knitting.
Give me a synonym.
Not sewing.
Stitching.
Hold on, I'm going to thesaurus.com. Because I have a very specific word in mind, but I can't. I've totally lost it. Weave! God, thank you. Could not think of the word weave. It builds threads between people, and they can weave those threads together to make beautiful things that they couldn't make by themselves. And as she's talking, and she's actually like knitting very fast and sort of making this scarf a lot quicker than like a person could.
Right.
And it's probably got a good, foot to it already. And as she's talking about this, you can see like beams of light are catching it in different ways as sort of it either like folds or sort of bends back and forth as she's working at it. And I'll tell you what, you tell me, what's Brook's favorite color?
I see where you're going with this, but I already had in my mind what Brook's scarf would be.
Okay, well then, yeah, tell me that.
Well, because, like, the one I drew for her in her most
I understand that.
Okay.
Humor me.
Okay, sure. Brook's favorite color would actually be purple.
Okay. The purple scarf, as like beams of light are catching it, you can actually see bits of it. It's like they're different colors when the light catches it, and you can actually see images sewn into it like a textile. And it's just little cartoon images of Brook sitting at a bench and language sitting on the bench next to her, and then sort of almost like a second panel of that of you two sitting together while she knits a scarf.
Oh.
And it's sort of like you can only catch it when the light catches it just right.
Right, yeah. This is a very nice scarf you're knitting.
Thanks, I've had a long time to practice.
I can imagine. I like the color.
I know.
I can't accept this. If that's what you mean by it.
I don't know. What do you mean?
I'm honestly reeling with the idea of just sitting here with a goddess knitting something that may or may not be for me. I don't want to jump to conclusions here.
Yeah, I was gonna say judgy or not judgy.
Presumptuous or like.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like a more playful word than presumptuous. That means presumptuous.
Or like Little Miss Presumptuous, something like that.
Yeah. Like, oh boy, yeah. Who said it was for you?
Not the first time I've been called that. Fair point. Who's it meant for then? If you don't mind me asking.
Like I said, I like to come out here and just knit for myself to clear my mind, and well, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. I mean, I was gonna offer it to someone, but I don't know. Maybe they're a little too grabby. And she kind of, she's clearly like just kind of giving you shit.
Right, of course, yeah. Well, whoever gets it is very lucky.
But she says, I think it's great that you write your diary and you want to try and keep you're working on a tapestry with yourself, and that's beautiful in its own way, but the best ones are always when you work on them with other people, and I think you should try and really make if you're worried that people don't know how you feel, then you should let them know. And if it's too hard to do in person, that's why I gave you guys writing.
I wouldn't even know where to start a letter.
Well, a salutation is usually a good beginning. Addressing the person that it's to. Some kind, it's a letter and not a formal paper, but some sort of thesis statement is usually a good start. And then after that, once you know what the thesis is, you just keep writing to support it, and then you end it with a conclusion that restates it.
You make it very easy when you put it that way.
Maybe you're just making it too hard when you put it your way.
This is going to be the most apt time to ever say this, but you took the words right out of my mouth. I probably have a couple of letters to write.
I think you'll appreciate it.
It's going to be awkward if I give them to the. No, you go.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I I think they'll appreciate it, and I think you will too.
I guess there's only one way to find out.
Well, I don't really need another scarf, but you can't accept this, so I guess I'll just leave this here. And she kind of ties off the end of the scarf. I don't know how to knit. But she finishes it, and...
You just say she finishes the scarf, like...
Shut up.
Look.
And she sort of packs up her things, and she just sort of leaves the scarf kind of folded neatly where she was sitting. And she says, well, good luck. And she's moving to head back to her pedestal. Sorry, what'd you say? Hello?
I think I might. I basically just like... Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I thought I lost you for a sec.
Good?
Yeah, we're good.
No, it's all good. Yeah. Yeah, I think Brook at this point she just kind of watches language, but just doesn't move from the pew sill. And
just kind of pulled out, like, thank you for this. I think I might have the right words now.
I didn't get... yeah. She says, you did before I ever got here. And she just kind of gives you a nice wave and turns back to Stone.
I think Brook just kind of sits for a little bit longer, kind of looks at the scarf, looks away. The scarf looks away. Then just... I think she respectfully leaves it. She's not gonna just take a damn scarf from a goddess. I think... It is a scarf from a goddess, Luigi. I do think she first goes over to, like, she actually stands up, walks over, picks up the book she threw out. Her little, like, moleskin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably just, like, I imagine Brook at this point is just making a note to herself to, like, grab another pencil on her way back into town proper.
So, I'm sorry, did you say she is leaving the scarf?
Look, I don't know, is the scarf actually made I don't know. Yeah, did she? I don't know, man.
I mean, I think language very strongly implied that it's for you.
I guess.
Yeah, because her words were...
Brook was just as, like, panicky as me, though.
Right, because, her words were, well, I don't need this, but you already said you can't accept it, so I guess I'll just leave it here.
Fair. I think at this point... I think that, just like it's clicked for me, it's clicked for Brook at this point, as she's getting ready to leave, and... I imagine she at first leaves it, and then she immediately turns back and, like, picks up the scarf and leaves it in.
I'm glad, because I think if she actually was leaving, she would have seen language turning back into a person and be like, you dummy, take the scarf! Oh my goodness!
Brook's very dense, like
me! Okay. So, man, you guys are just getting boons left and right here. Cool loot. Let's see. Let's say that if you want to add this scarf to your extras, I think...
Sure.
I'm trying to think of how to... what it should do specifically. I think that while wearing it, Brook gets... let's say a +2 to empathy and rapport rolls. And I'll also say this is not
cool.
This is like a knit scarf that like your grandma would make you. This is not necessarily like a common writer type scarf.
No,
right?
Because her common writer stuff is gonna be something different.
Right, like
that's what I've envisioned.
Yeah, it's like a thick weave of yarn. Like it's not. It'd probably get torn up if you were doing superhero stuff with it. But obviously the implication is there. There's a reason it's a scarf and not a sweater.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Oh man, I almost would have liked a sweater. Like
And I would say, actually...
just imagine this dopey water elemental wearing a fucking sweater.
I would say while you're wearing it, it does not... the little sort of sequential art of your conversation with language is gone, but anytime Brook is talking to someone and like having like a conversation with them, that same sort of effect happens with where like you see images as the light catches it of like the conversations she's having with that person.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It's not like a fixed thing.
No, yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's a magic scarf that represents the threads between you and whoever you're talking to.
God, that's cool.
I feel like
so that's
I'm beginning to suspect you guys are just
empathy and rapport.
Yeah, put that in your extras, not as like skill bonuses, because it's tied explicitly to the scarf. You have to be wearing the scarf to get those rolls. I'm beginning to suspect that you guys are just coming up with excuses to make me come up with more cool goddess stuff.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Which, you're lucky that I like thinking about this stuff and coming up with cool, weird stuff to do with them. Anyway, I think that's the scene, so I'm gonna take the stream down.